everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Business Unboxed with your hosts Kelly and Corey. And as you guys know, I'm a chartered accountant and Corey is a business owner. And in today's episode, we thought we'd try something a little bit different. And we're going to talk about a couple of topics from the deck of discussions, which is kind of like a little game card. Yeah, so like if you have guests over or whatever, you can discuss, they like give good discussion points, and we're just going to go off a couple of those, and you'll get to hear our thoughts on a couple of the points that we bring up from these cards.
Also, I apologise for sniffing and coughing in advance because I have a cold, so just be with
Corey's
me.
been sick, so...
Okay, so the first one, if you could choose one rule for every small business owner to adhere to, what would it be and why?
Okay, I don't know if it's a rule or not, and I don't know, like, but my thing is, I feel like a lot of small business owners don't have enough accounting knowledge, and they go into a business without knowing anything to do with the numbers. I feel like every small business owner should have to do some type of business or accounting course before they can be a business owner, just so they have that little bit of knowledge, just a base level knowledge of business and accounting before being a business owner is probably what I would say.
Yeah, good point. I think there's a few, at least in the ones I come across, there's a few similarities with some of them. I think what would be a really good rule? I wanted to say initially that they need to find like a proper point of difference.
Mm-hmm.
But
it is something big that you always drive for.
Yeah.
You got to be different.
But when I talk to business owners and I ask them what their point of difference is, like they think they have one, but to me that is not one. Like, you know, having good customer service or being friendly is not a point of difference. That's what every business should be doing. So
yeah,
I feel like a one rule. I feel like, you know what? Yeah, that if you want to start a business, you should have to do a 1-year course in business, because if you can't commit to that, then you can't commit to running a business.
Yes.
Basically, there's lots of things, and I'm not saying that necessarily because of you need to learn the knowledge necessarily. You know, you do, and it's obviously helpful. But I think people don't understand the commitment involved. So when people start a side hustle, which is a business, you know, I see, and this is not everybody, but I see often that people want to do it for extra cash, which is totally fine. Or they want to move away from their job and have more freedom, but it depends what you mean by freedom, because freedom doesn't necessarily mean working less.
Yeah.
Because that's not what happens when you have a business. Any business owner that I know of doesn't work less. Yeah. But you have the feeling of freedom, which can be all you need. So I think, if they had to do a course for a year and pass that course before they could start any side hustle or business and register with whatever, then they've proven to themselves that they can commit the time every week to doing the projects, whatever's involved in the course. Yeah, I think that would be a good start.
Yeah, I think that's a good one too.
All right, next one. You are a vegan skincare company, and you've just been notified that your most important ingredient has a minute amount of bee pollen in it. Do you tell your customers or risk it? Where do your ethics sit? People before profit or profit before people?
I mean, straight away you've got to tell everyone.
Yeah, I feel like
you can't not. Like,
maybe back in the day this might have happened, but I don't think you can get away with it now, really.
Nah. People would find out, your business would be a disaster because everyone would boycott you for lying.
Yeah.
You would have to be upfront about it and let everybody know. And if some people don't like that, then that is what it is, or you have to change to a different supplier or something, but you'd have to face it. You couldn't hide from it. You'd have to face it.
Yeah, being upfront, having transparency and ethics is such a big part of business now. Um,
Yes.
and not just that as well, but when you have something like something that's vegetarian or vegan, like someone's chosen uh to have that way of life. Sorry, there's a vehicle just pulled up outside. Um, and and it's like if someone like I'm vegetarian, but if someone tricked me and gave me something that had meat in it, like that's not a very nice thing to do to someone. So,
No.
it's one thing lying about a product first and foremost, which you should never ever do.
Mm-mm.
But then having something in it that someone doesn't purposely want to consume is also another whole step in the wrong direction.
Yes. Totally agree. Unacceptable.
As a small business owner, you know you do not have enough employees to cover all of the skill set you need. What do you outsource and why?
For me personally, I would like to keep my accounting and any admin tasks in house in the country that I'm in and not outsource them to potentially another country just because I want to make sure that the people that I've got understand the rules in the country that we're in. And there's a lot of rules that in accounting, obviously, that are standardized, but there are also a lot of differences in each country. And I would prefer my admin or accounts team to be more familiar with New Zealand's way of doing things. So if it was something that needed to be outsourcing, maybe it would be the social side of the business or like the marketing kind of stuff. I feel like that would be a wee bit more easier to outsource for me than my accounting and admin stuff if I couldn't get all the skills. I wouldn't mind outsourcing that to somebody else.
Huh? Well, I've just gone through this. So, I'm outsourcing the design and development part of the business. So that's something I can do myself, but I, as the business managing director, I guess, need to be having the conversations with clients and doing the marketing and sales part of the business. That's something that I can't really outsource. So I need to be doing that. So, the other stuff is easy to outsource. So I think, you have to, it's hard sometimes to let go. It's a little bit hard for me to let go of the design stuff, but you've got to work
Mm.
out what can no one else do? What can't you really outsource? And obviously you can get a salesperson or a marketing person, but when you're small, you want to be having the relationship with the customer or the client. And so you should be informing those relationships, and you need to be doing the networking and the marketing or whatever. Um, and so I think that's important that you hold that and then try and outsource anything else that you can.
I guess from my point of view, I see it as obviously I would still doing my part of my marketing, but I just mean like the social media side of it and like creating the ads and that kind of thing
Hmm.
because I can't do that. So I would need to outsource that, and it's easier for me to outsource than admin work.
Yeah. All right. Um, next one. You've spent every waking moment on your wellness startup, and
Oh.
despite the debt you've accumulated, you're finally seeing some traction in sales. Yay.
Mm-mm.
However, you've just been given an offer from a large conglomerate to buy your business. Do you give up your passion, knowing that your business model will change forever, or say no and keep working on it, even though you're not making a profit yet?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Did they say that they make a big offer, like they would pay you out like
See, it's been despite. So you're finally seeing some traction in sales. However, you've just been given an offer from a large
okay?
conglomerate. So it's just an offer. It's not necessarily a huge amount.
I mean, you've only just started. and you've only maybe you only have a couple of products, because I obviously would love to have some sort of wellness or well-being brand in the future. Personally, I'm quite passionate about well-being and wellness, especially when it comes to in the workplace and workplace well-being and taking care of employees and all that kind of thing, but also from like a personal stance. So I'm looking at it as if I had started my own wellness brand, and I already have a couple of ideas in my head of products that I would have. So I'm thinking if I had started that business and I had my couple of products that I wanted to start with, and I think it said you didn't make many sales yet, or you're not making a profit yet. I feel like at that point in time, yes, it would be very, very tempting to take an offer, which I would assume would be a halfway decent offer. But because you haven't even really gotten to live out that dream and flow through and bring in those products that you've thought about for probably a wee while, I feel like I would tend to want to hold on for it for a little bit longer, get myself set up a wee bit more, make sure that the products that I'm giving my people are really connecting with them and build on to my product range. And then when I feel like I've actually built something proper, then maybe I'd be more inclined to take something once I've already got something set, as opposed to handing it over before I've even really been able to do what I wanted to do with it and achieve what I set out in my business.
Interesting.
Because then I feel like I would have no impact. I just I've started it and I've handed it over. But the point of having a well-being or wellness brand is to have an impact on people. And so before you've even done that, you've given it up. And I just feel like, yeah, that would be a waste of what I wanted to do.
But what if the brand still continued to have an impact on the people that bought it, purchased it?
Because I'm not in that then. So it's not me. It's not my thing that I'm having an impact. It's not me connecting with the people. Somebody else is doing it.
I think there's probably a few different things to consider. Obviously, if a conglomerate wants to purchase it, they see some sort of value in it. If you
Mm-hmm.
deny them, there's a chance they could go and make the product themselves anyway and then run you out of business because they have the money and and the tools to do so.
Very
So there's a
true.
little bit of risk there if you decide to keep it that they might just go ahead and do their own. Um, I mean, it doesn't say here on the card, but I guess in a real world situation, you could possibly negotiate. You might be able to be like, look, I want to keep the majority shareholdings, or at least 50% shareholdings, or okay, you can buy the brand off me, but I want to run the business, and I want a
Yeah.
salary of X amount to run the business.
Mm-hmm.
There could be a few different scenarios. I think
Definitely.
um, if someone came to me now and offered to buy one of the businesses that I own, and they gave me a pretty decent offer, I'd probably consider selling.
Then what
But
would you do though?
there's lots of other things I'd like to do.
Right.
Things I can start, other things that I um have started that I haven't been able to put any time into.
Right.
So yeah, I'll find other stuff to do.
I like your idea of negotiating, or if they offered you and you could negotiate and you could be like, look, I also want to be involved, then that would be, I feel like, a different story if I could still be involved.
Yeah, that is hard to let go, especially when you start out. And one of the things I went through with Phoenix Rogue is when I merged with Unleashing Potential, I kind of had to let go of that brand I'd built because we didn't need the brand anymore. Now it's just really an entity,
Yeah.
which is fine because I have something, potentially bigger and better, but you kind of do get emotionally tied to something that you're starting yourself. So sometimes it's hard, but you've got to step back and go, okay, well, what's the bigger picture here? Does it really matter? Yeah.
That's very
All
true.
right, should we do one more?
Yes, let's do one more.
Okay. Your raw materials company has just won a government contract. You're over the moon until you find out they're using your materials to create military weapons. Do you continue with the contract? I think it probably depends on where you stand with military. I mean, like military, it's obviously, excuse me, military is not a nice thing because it usually involves war.
Mm.
Well, that's the purpose of it, for the most part, is to protect your country and to support humanitarian uh, disasters and things like that. um, so yeah, I don't know. I personally don't think would have a huge problem with it. It's not ideal, but we're also in New Zealand, not to
Yeah.
mention any other countries, but
Yeah.
we don't necessarily get into many huge big conflicts. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, I don't personally have a huge problem with it.
No, I feel like being in New Zealand, I wouldn't have a problem with it being used however they need to use it. But yeah, like you say, there might be other countries out there where I may not want to support what it's being used for,
Mm,
but being here, I feel like I would be okay with that.
yeah, that's the last card.
Cool. Well, if you guys want to hear us talk about any other random topics, or you have like a weird scenario you want to throw at us and you want to hear how we would react or what we would do in that situation, then feel free to comment on either YouTube or on Spotify. We hope you've enjoyed this fun little episode, and we hope that Corey feels better before we have to do the next one. Because, yeah, it's not fun. And I hope that I don't get
Okay.
sick because I don't know if you guys know, but in New Zealand, I'm in Christchurch. There was a lot of rain this week, and I got wet going to and from work. And I feel like I may be getting the start of a cold. So I hope that I
Oh,
don't then get sick, because then next time I might be the sick one and Corey might be the healthy one. So let's hope that we both are well for the next episode.
yes.
Cool. Okay, well, we will catch you guys in the next one.
See
Bye.
ya.